Title of my slide is Journalism in Iraq. That's my name. So, how free is Iraq's press? The short answer is not very. Iraq is ranked 150th out of 179 countries on the Press Freedom Index website. Iraq has currently had 3 journalists killed in 2013, with no other real offences to journalists committed. The 3 killings happened on 2 separate occasions. The first occurred on the 7th of October with the death of 2 TV journalists, gunned down in Mosul. According to colleagues of the 2 men murdered, they received death threats of the day whilst reporting on security forces in Mosul for the TV station Al Shakira. They didn't take these threats seriously and subsequently each shot dead, both with headshots. The armed groups that killed them have not been brought to justice. The second occurred on the 25th of the same month, when Bashar, that guy there, was murdered. He was the victim of a targeted shooting by gunmen using a silencer. Police sources say an investigation is underway. There is particular concern about the wave of murders in Mosul. Iraq is stated to be not free according to Freedom House. Iraq has a population of approximately 34 million people. The capital city is Baghdad. What exactly does it mean for a country to be not free? Well, it means there are high levels of downward pressure from the country's officials on what can or cannot be reported on. The breaking of these rules may result in severe punishments for the journalists involved. 96 journalists have been murdered in Iraq since 1992, the highest out of any country in the world. On the Committee to Protect Journalists website, Iraq has an index rank of 1. However, in the last 2 years there have been many improvements in the protection of journalists. External forces such as the USA and the UK have greatly improved the situation in Iraq, particularly since the removal of Saddam Hussein. A quote taken from the Committee on the Protection of Journalists website shows the steps forwards being made in Iraq as the rest of the world are paying attention to their problems. Despite the steps forward that have been made in recent years, Iraq is still a dangerous place to be a journalist. October of this year was a deadly month to be a journalist, and with the 3 killings in Mosul. In addition to this, Iraq has suspended the licenses of 10 TV stations. The decision by Iraq's Media and Communications Commission to suspend the licenses of 10 foreign-based satellite TV channels is for inciting violence and sectarianism. These TV stations include the popular Qatar-based Al Jazeera. These acts have been seen as an attempt by the government to silence their opposition. The government's acts are making it difficult for the public to get a holistic view of the news around the world and from within the country's borders. This is dangerous as it gives the government the ability to manipulate events to suit their own motives. Journalists don't have the chance to express their views and give correct, accurate information to the people, hence the low ranking in the Press Freedom Index. This sort of biased reporting makes it easier for the government to push their views onto the people, thus snubbing out any opposition they may face. This makes it considerably easier to win general elections and to be voted into power on numerous times. They can also use it to conceal any unsavoury behaviour they might have been participating in. Journalists play a key role in society to expose the actions of those in power and inform the people. If this key job isn't provided, then the society of a country will suffer greatly. The Iraqi newspaper industry has little political influence as the government decides what information can and cannot be fed through to the Iraqi people. This was even more apparent under the reign of Saddam Hussein. Hussein was very careful with what he told the people as he didn't want anything to disrupt his regime. This made being a journalist very difficult as they had to conform to his wishes or face punishments as severe as death. As a result of this, journalists were/are used as puppets and forced into being the mouthpieces of the government. Things have improved greatly since then, and journalists have greater freedom to explore other topics than those that shed the light on the government. Under Hussein, media was very limited and controlled by the state. One news network called Iraqi News Agency solely functioned as the mouthpiece for the regime. Satellite dishes were even illegal. How safe is it to be a journalist in Iraq? The Iraqi news agency mentioned previously continued to operate past 2003. However, it was opposed by the independent agency Aswa al-Iraq, which is backed by the UN with offices in Iraq, Turkey and the US, amongst others. The US has pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into the Iraqi communication system, and as a result, being an Iraqi journalist is now drastically safer than previously. Despite these improvements, there are still sporadic attacks on journalists from the groups that their journalistic work offends or jeopardises. These troubles are experienced in countries all over the world. This problem is not confined solely to Iraq, with similar attacks in countries such as Russia. There are now over 300 newspapers in Iraq. The ban on satellite dishes has been lifted, and there are numerous other TV stations other than the one Iraq had provided for them previously. As a result, it is considerably safer to be a journalist, with many outlets open to journalists to report the news, especially with the emergence of the internet in Iraq, which was previously banned. Just a conclusion, Iraq is ranked very poorly by official press freedom agencies. Iraq is officially stated to be not free. Iraq has the highest number of journalists killed out of every country in the world since 1992, with a total of 96. They are taking steps forward to improve the state of their media system. The press is still under some sort of control by the government and isn't totally free yet. It is now safer to be a journalist in Iraq than it has been for many decades.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I please ask all the presenters to come forward?